Take two. Welcome to Critical Weight Theory. And today I'm stepping into some risky holiday territory. I'm talking about A Christmas Story 2, the direct to video sequel to the 1983 classic A Christmas Story, which I did review earlier this year, I believe in August. And I made a little promise that I would get back into this franchise. And this is that moment. So this movie arrived almost 30 years after the original and came from a completely different creative team. The studio called it the official sequel, but fans had a very different reaction. Well, some fans did enjoy it, and I'll get into that a little bit later on. In fact, I talked to some people that I know on Facebook, and they said that they didn't hate the movie. So it it's not all bad as far as the reaction among fans goes. So more on that in a little bit here. So let's get into what this movie is, what it tries to do, and why a few people out there still manage to enjoy it. So first, the setup. Ralphie is now a teenager raised, on the traditional family structure that was examined in the first film. And he's, more of a grown up Ralphie between being a kid and being an adult. Based on the expectations from the previous film, viewers will begin with the attitude, who knew it could happen to a young fellow like Ralph? You know right away that the movie is chasing the old rhythm of Gene Shepard's narration. And instead of dreaming about a Red Ryder BB gun, Ralphie is now obsessed with a shiny 1938 vehicle that I believe is called a Hupmobile. After a clumsy accident at the dealership leaves the car damaged, Ralphie and his pals scramble to raise the money, specifically $85, to fix the damaged vehicle before the car dealership owner calls the police. So he's given a deadline. Initially, he tries to make it so his dad never finds out about the damage to the vehicle and the money that he owes, but eventually the truth comes out. And that becomes the spine of the story. Just like the first film, the plot moves through small misadventures, neighborhood chaos, and a family that is stressed but still loving. And Braden Lemasters steps in as Ralphie. Daniel Stern, you might know him from the first two Home Alone movies as well as the movie Chud. But anyway, Daniel Stern takes on the old man role, originally played by Darren McGavin. Stacey Travis plays the mother, and the whole cast feels like a rebooted version of people we already know, which is part of the challenge that the movie faced. So obviously people are going to be comparing it to the original all the time, and that's already something that's going to be a big hurdle for a film like this. And some people, no matter how good a movie might be, they're instantly going to discredit whatever you do. That's just how this works sometimes. So let's talk about the tone and reception. The movie tries to echo the charm of the original, as one might expect. The narration, the episodic structure, the snow covered neighborhoods, the holiday pressure, all of it's meant to feel familiar. But most viewers and critics felt the movie never found the humor or warmth that made the first one timeless. Daniel Stern's performance as the old man took a lot of hits too. McGavin could be gruff, frustrated, and still lovable, but Stern's take, it feels thinner and more frantic, and the character just isn't as memorable and isn't as almost mythic as the character is in the first film. And I'm not trying to trash talk Daniel Stern here. I actually think he's a good actor sometimes. Like the Home Alone movies are good. I even like Chud, of course. And in fact, if you ever want to get a feel for, what kind of a person Daniel Stern is, listen to the audio commentary for the movie Chud. It's hilarious. It's truly worth listening to that audio commentary. I know I might be getting a little sidetracked here, but this is a recommendation that you might want to actually follow through on. Listen to the Chud audio commentary. They make fun of the movie. It's hilarious, and you'll actually want to hang around with the people in the commentary. Although unfortunately, John Hurd is no longer alive, of course. But anyway, moving on from that little side track that I just stepped on, McGavin would have been a very tough performance to match. So I'm trying to be fair here. It might have even been impossible to find somebody who could have stepped into the role as well as Darren McGavin did. It's one of those things where he seems almost synonymous with the role, and really the kid who played Ralphie probably faced the same obstacle. I think Braden Lemasters actually does a pretty decent job, but man, it's like nobody can really be Ralphie the way that Ralphie was Ralphie. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a problem. It's almost like some of these actors were made for the role, and it's like another example I would give is would you would you really say that any other actor could play Freddy Krueger the way that Robert Englund did? Now, I'm actually not as orthodox about these things as some people are. I'm even brave enough to say that maybe somebody could play these roles, these iconic roles as well as the original actor. But I couldn't think of somebody who could, play Ralphie or play the old man with the same, I guess, perfect balance of different characteristics. Just like I struggle to imagine somebody adequately donning Freddy Krueger's glove and hat and sweater and all that stuff. It's the same difficulty across the board when you have an iconic role that, well, Indiana Jones would be another one I could throw out there. With this sort of thing, it's not just about holiday cheer. It's also just like the characters themselves. It's not just the little scenarios the characters wind up in. It's like the way they present themselves, their mannerisms, their speaking styles, all of it. It all becomes very hard to replace. And the story sends Ralphie and his pals through a series of jobs working at Higbee's department store, all to raise money for Ralphie's possible legal trouble. And I could also imagine the writers brainstorming Christmas tree delivery runs or a snow shoveling montage where the boys try. See, I was merging the words boys and try together, and it came out like boars, like I'm talking about pigs. But anyway, the boys try to earn that money. I could imagine them doing different jobs, is what I'm trying to say. So there were a lot of options for what they could have done with the script. And the Higbee's department store thing, I think was adequate. I think it was a decent idea, and that's a lot of potential there, and I think they did make use of that to some potentially comedic ends, you know, and they reach for that style of chaos. But in my opinion, the moments in the movie just don't have the same joy or heart, at least for me and probably for most viewers. The central conflict, fixing the car, feels genuine enough, but not as quirky as the original. Part of what makes the original thing about wanting the BB gun relatable is, yeah, some of us most certainly wanted a BB gun when we were kids, but it's also a quirky thing. It's a unique and individualized drive. He wanted that BB gun in a way that was both relatable and unique at the same time. And I think most people could relate to being obsessed with some unique thing that they love. And that's why I think that was a little bit more relatable because it's more quirky. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people they do love cars and whatnot, but that's a little bit more of a substantial thing as a part of growing up that a lot of people expect to eventually get is a nice car, but it's not as quirky of a thing as a BB gun, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm just full of crap on that point. I don't know. But it lacks the genuine kid-sized longing that made the Red Ryder BB gun quest so relatable to me. You know, the the idea that you're in a unique position where you have to basically plead with your family for this precious gift while also remaining, aloof, I guess you might say. And by the time the movie wraps up with a neat Christmas miracle and a fully restored Hupmobile, the emotional payoff is light, and critics called it forgettable. Many viewers saw it as a cash grab, writing on the name of a beloved classic. Then again, is that really much of a critique anyway? I mean, isn't that what sequels are? They sort of are cash grabs. And to me, it seems like they at least tried with this movie, which means something. And here's the other side of it. Some people really do like this movie, and not ironically. A few things work if you walk in with the right mindset. For one, it's a simple story, no big message, no heavy drama, just a light holiday story that keeps moving and never asks much from people. For some families, that's enough. Put it on while wrapping gifts or decorating the tree, and it becomes easy background comfort. Or, of course, you could watch it while opening presents or whatever, having a holiday feast. And second, the movie has a kind of earnest awkwardness, just like the original does. You can feel the filmmakers trying hard to honor the original. They repeat the structure, the narration style, the little explosions of trouble that Ralphie encounters, and for a handful of viewers, that effort reads as charming instead of distracting, I suppose. And finally, the younger kids who do not have the deep emotional ties to the 1983 film sometimes enjoy this one on its own terms, at least most likely. If you're not comparing Daniel Stern to Darren McGavin, you may just see a goofy dad. And if you're not guarding the legacy of the original, the slapstick moments might be better for you. So, does A Christmas Story 2 measure up to the first film? No, not in my opinion. And it's kind of not even that close, to be honest. But every holiday season has room for a couple of oddball entries, and this one, for all of its flaws, still finds an audience that wants holiday noise, simple stakes, and a story that never tries to be more than it is. So, that's it for my review of A Christmas Story 2. If you survive the episode without shouting, "Why does this exist?" you are a champion. And when I say why does this exist, I could be referring to the movie itself or to the episode because I'm sure some people out there you're wondering why do you even care? Why do you even do these movie reviews or whatever? But why ask why? That's another question. I think we're all asking ourselves why we're on this planet and why we do what we do. And I think we're all just trying to figure some stuff out. That's why it's a good thing to have some holidays and traditions to distract us and give us a routine that we don't question too much. And the holiday season is a relatively tranquil time for most of us, or at least a lot of us. We can put some of the troubles aside and just hang around with our families and maybe sometimes watch movies and talk about movies or whatever, enjoy some food, open some presents, maybe, and all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, have a good day and have a Merry Christmas, even though it's actually still about 20 days away from the point that I'm recording this. But anyway, have an early Merry Christmas because I might not be doing any more uh, holiday season reviews this month. This might be the only one. So, all right.